Those of you that don't know Greg and Cami Goucher, they're one of our high sixes, but they're also our certified coaches. Just so you give them some background of kind of who you are, where you came from, in like 30 seconds. Let's not make this over the top, but just so they know where you're coming from, background and where you're currently at, maybe with deals.
Okay, make the countdown. We are from Northeast Ohio.
One.
We have
Two.
We came from corporate worlds, healthcare nurse practitioner for 23 years, and the trucking industry for 25 years. We have 5 kids. We're a blended family. We have been doing this not quite 3 years, and we just capped out last month, and we have 3 deals on the books that we are trying to get signed right now. So.
When she says capped out, DJ Ryan in the background. Capped out, what she means is when you're a part of our associate community at this point, if you do 10 deals, you're actually capped out of your agreement, and you're now on your own, and you never can call us ever again. No, I'm just kidding.
We call him every day.
We call him all the time.
All right, let's jump to Rosalind first. What was your question?
So it's really not a question, more of a request. If you could take maybe a quick 90 seconds before the next deal and just explain the terms, because I think that's where a lot of the confusion for us new people. Like when you're talking about sale and equity, it's not in pertaining to the house, it's pertaining to between you and the seller or you and the buyer. So I think that's where a lot of the confusion is coming from. Trying to follow along.
What you're telling me is you're not in my head. Okay, let's walk through all this before we dive through, because you're 100% right. So when we say deal type is going to be the type of creative financing deal or terms deal, which is either going to be a lease option, owner financing subject to, or an assign out. I'm going to assume that everybody understands that terminology. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume that you do. And if you haven't, then I, of course, encourage you to go through our QLS Home video course and dive in to our modules and start learning these different deals. Next, source is the lead source, where the lead came from. You'll see like expired listings or for rent by owner or for sale by owner. Those are some lead sources. Term is going to be the length of time in which you have to cash out the seller. So if there's a balloon payment, if it's owner financing, or if it's a lease purchase, there's a term in which you need to exercise your option or cash out the seller. Debt is going to be the exact mortgage balance on the property, in which the exact mortgage balance of the day that you purchased the property. Equity is the equity that you're locking in with the seller. And then sold is the price that you sold to your tenant buyer. So when you look at debt and equity, that's your purchase price. The reason why we put it this way is because the way our agreements are set up. And so that way you start thinking in terms of equity locked in with the seller, because that's how you build in wealth in these deals. And then when we look at the payday ones, deposit from the buyer, that's the non-refundable deposit. Yes, it does come directly off the purchase price. Payday 2 is your monthly cash flow. And then payday 3 is going to be any additional premium you have left over, subtracted by the additional premium you have on the property, subtracted by the amount you already collected, plus any principal pay down that you've accumulated over the term of this deal. Everyone feel good now? Please type in the chat if you feel good, or if you're still lost, then let me dive in a little bit further.
Melody, it's good to see that you're from Northeast Ohio. It's pretty awesome.
Rosalind, does that help? I think I read your lips and said yes. Okay, perfect. All right, let's dive into this deal. So let's do a little bit of background on this deal first. What's the deal type?
Yeah, so the deal type is a sub 2.
please tell them what a subject to deal means. Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean?
Yeah, subject to the existing loan. So what we're doing is we are taking possession of the title or deed, and we're going to continue to continue to be financially obligated to make payments on the actual loan. And there's no term, there's no ending term on this actual deal.
Love it. What was the source?
Source was a FSBO for sale by owner.
Okay, so let's get a little background on the seller. What's going on? Why does he need your help?
Yeah, so he needs my help. He had tried to sell it with the realtor for quite a while, and then we caught him when he was a FSBO. But a little background on this: our son, who is 19 years old, is actually a virtual assistant of ours, and he made the first dial and picked up the lead for us. So
Nice.
a great setup for the family business, and he got their information, and I made the follow-up call. And we
What's
went from
his
there.
equity position in this deal?
Yeah, his equity position.
No, I mean your son.
Yeah, I know.
We're helping pay for college.
Yeah,
Oh,
helping pay for
beautiful.
his college. Yeah,
Love it.
exactly.
Okay, very cool. So no term, meaning there's no end date. On our subject to deals, we don't have an end date. We're just buying the property. We could run this mortgage all the way to the end if we chose to. When you buy a property subject to the existing financing, what you're doing is you are closing on the property, like Greg said, and you're acknowledging that there's still a loan on the house. The loan remains in the seller's name. Title's in your name, loan remains in the seller's name. No end date in which you need to pay off this loan. You could ride it all the way to the end, or at some point in time in the future, you could pay it off.
And I'd like to add something else to this as well. Even though my son and I made the initial dials, Chris actually got in on one of the calls too to help finalize this deal and put it together. So
Love it. Team
we
effort.
got it.
It takes a village to do some of these deals. Debt. What's the debt on the property?
Yeah, the debt is $58,281.
281. All right. Is there any equity in this deal?
There is.
How much?
$116,719.
So you're telling me that you can buy a property subject to existing financing and still keep equity with the seller?
That's right.
Okay, so how are you handling that portion?
Say that again.
How are you how are you structuring the deal in order to make sure the seller is in a good position for his equity?
Yeah. Well, we're structuring it because we're going to take over any and all responsibility of the property, to include the mortgage payments and taxes and insurance. You want to add to that?
You have an end. There's an end date to this.
There is
for
with
the
this.
seller. Remember the 30s.
Right.
So there's a balloon of the equity.
Yes.
Not
Correct.
of the debt, but of the equity.
Of the equity.
That is
What
right.
when is the 116 due by?
There's
36
36
months.
months.
Okay, so
On this
36 months for the balloon.
Yep.
Okay. And I know that you guys utilize Wicked Smart Finance, and we'll speak more to that tomorrow. So you used basically a new company, a new department that we created in order to help some of these deals that need money into them. 95% of our deals are no money down, but there are some deals that if we just have some money, you can create great long-term deals or be able to create, most of the time, six-figure deals if you just had some money in the deal. So that's why we created that. So there's a down payment on this deal, correct?
There is $40,000.
So full
And-
disclosure, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you should be chasing deals. You just got started. Say I'm talking to Rosalind and she's like, I just got started. I'm trying to find my first deal. I'm not telling you to go raise a bunch of capital, like $40,000 and go put down on a deal first time. What we're stating is that as you do more and more deals, you're going to be able to utilize equity from other deals, or if you decide to join our associate community, you'll have access to capital in order to do more deals. We want to continue to provide more and more for our associates.
Yeah, a little insight on that as well. He originally wanted $75,000 down. And during our discussions, it was mentioned that, hey, you can go pull some of your equity out now and to be able to assist with that. So he actually went and got a $35,000 HELOC, and that way they could begin to pay down some debt. And in the meantime, they wanted to get the most out of the property, which is why they wanted to go our route. And the other $40,000, they're actually using that to purchase an RV, and they're going to live in that short term until we close them out.
Very cool. Okay. All right. So now you got this property under agreement. and I'm sure there's going to be a number of different questions. I already see hand raises, but let's continue to dive a little bit further down this. You went ahead and you sold the property for how much?
259.9.
249.9, right?
Oh, 249. See, I need to put these on because I'm getting old.
249.9.
Let me redo that because
Sorry.
I'm sure I'll get questions. 249.9. Okay. So what is the so just so everyone's over the top clear when we're doing this? What was the actual purchase price on the property?
The actual purchase price on the property was now there's a little nuance on this, so that's a great question. So the original purchase price was $250,000.
Okay.
Well, the property is actually almost 3 acres, and an acre of it is residential. The other 2 acres essentially is agriculture, forest type stuff. He wanted to arrange the deal so that he could keep those 2 acres and sell them outright eventually in the future. So we gave him a $35,000 adjustment. Okay, and if we can split it and do that, we can. Less his debt balance, so really, it was around 225.
Okay, 225 plus you paid this
Or
makes
two,
yeah, and then plus you paid the 40K down, so
Yeah,
that's where you're arriving at basically one.
yeah, it's actually
is that
215.
180?
215 was the actual purchase price when it was all said and done.
Okay, 215.
Mm-hmm.
Put down 40K, and that's where we're arriving at the 116 equity.
Correct.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You got it.
Don't you guys love how a simple question of what was the purchase price? We dove in even further. All right. So you sold for 249.9.
Yes.
All right. Before we dive in any further, I want everyone to know that just because you showed up at QLS does not mean you're going to be able to make $1 million by watching these deal structure videos. You have to stay immersed in these deals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the deposit from the buyer?
74.97.
74,000.
7,400. So 74.97.
I was gonna say,
3%.
how did I miss this? 74.97.
Yes, which is 3% of the purchase price. Plus, we collected first month's rent, 1862.
Okay, so how did you collect first month's rent? How's that possible?
Well, because
Oh, she
that's-
took off her glasses. Here we go.
because when they have to rent a property, they have to put first month's rent, sometimes plus a deposit. So we just have incorporated that into our contracts. That not only are you putting your deposit down, but you also have to pay first month's rent at signing.
And the beauty of this whole process is our first mortgage payment is due 30 days after we purchase the property, which is the great thing that we get to collect and keep that first month's rent.
That's where I was going with that. Thank you, Greg.
You got
It's a
it.
leading question, but all right. So now the monthly payment is how much?
Monthly payment is $14.97. Oh, I'm sorry, payment from a buyer. Sorry, I wasn't reading Greg's stuff. The payment from the buyer is $18.62.
$18.62, and how much is the monthly payment from the seller or to the seller?
$14.97.
When I say seller, I mean the actual bank. Okay, so your spread is how much?
$365.
Okay, right in par, 365. So I know that it doesn't have an end date with the debt, but what did you end up selling to your buyer for? Let's just use that as our paydays here.
Yeah, we did this on a 24-month.
Okay. 24
So,
months.
yeah.
Okay, so what is your monthly cash flow?
$87.60.
Okay. Price premium that you sold the property for?
$34.9.
Okay, principal pay down on this?
It is $653 a month, so times 24 months, we're at $15,672.
672. Okay. And you already collected 74?
Mm-hmm.
And because it was first month's rent, meaning because Greg and Cami did not have to make their payment until 30 days after they had this buyer in the property, they were able to collect that first month's rent, which was $18.62. That does not come off the deposit because that is not the deposit. That's just additional cash flow there. All right, so you already collected $7,497. So your back end premium is how much?
$43,075.
What was that? 43 what?
$43,075.
Okay, so what are we looking at for total profits here?
61,194.
61,194. Okay, and this is based on 24 months.
Correct.
So just want to show everyone, if you looked at just an additional year here on both of these, you'd be adding, I don't know, 365 times 12 months. I mean, that's an additional, what, 7,000?
Correct.
Or 4,000, I'm sorry, additional 4,000. So that would bring this up to about 12,000 in cash flow. And then if you went just in premium here or principal pay down, you'd have another $7,000, 7,500 bucks on the back end. The reason why I'm telling you this is because this deal is more than likely going to go longer than 24 months. Because also the reality is they only have to pay the equity off. So can you, I'm just planting a seed, can you in the future be able to utilize or raise some capital in order to pay off the seller's equity or renegotiate the seller's equity later on? You certainly can, especially if we end up cashing out this deal earlier than what's written here as well. 61, 194. How's everyone feeling? You guys? Okay, why don't we go ahead and let's take like one or two questions, and then we're going to go to a breakout, okay? Everyone looks, you guys
Yeah.
feel good?
Dominic's got a question there. It says, can this deal be assigned to an investor buyer before closing?
Well, all of our sub-2 deals are assignable. The purchase and sale agreements are assignable, so yes.
Yes.
Pete, Dennis, I'm not sure which one of you has your hand raised.
That would be me. I have a question. What was the motivation for the seller to sell? And they started out with a realtor and then they tried to sell themselves. What was my other question? My other question was, why did they need such a large down payment?
Yep, great questions. So yes, they did try to sell with the realtor. He knew that he was going to have to come up, with the realtor fees and probably negotiation. It was priced too high.
300,000.
They had originally priced it at 300,000, and they knew shortly when they started marketing the home they were not getting any inquiries, they were not getting any viewings, any showings at all, and so they weren't. It was priced too high, and so basically after the 6 months expired, then he decided to sell it on himself. He dropped the price $50,000, and which is really right in range with everything. However, they were in a big hurry because he actually owns a business down in Phoenix, and he wanted to get down to the business and start nurturing it and growing it the way he wanted it to. And being up in Toledo, Ohio, was really causing some issues being able to operate his business fully. So he was in a big hurry to get down there, and he saw this as a good option to make sure he got his equity he's looking for. Now the down payment, they had some debt, and they wanted to get that paid off because they had been using actually growing debt to help keep his business going, which is a big reason why he needed to get down there. And but they wanted to just live in an RV for a little while and kind of just travel around the Phoenix area, the Arizona area during the weekends, things like that. So that was a lot of reason why they did what they did.
If I remember correctly, we let him sit. I remember talking with Chris about he wanted, the 75,000, and Chris was just like, let him sit, just let him. We gave him. I want to say it was a week, but then he called us back. So when you let them sit and think about things, then they usually
become resourceful.
Yes.
And start coming up ways to make it work.
And then the down payment got smaller. So, I think that played a part too.
Yes.
That would be helpful too before we jump here. Chris, if you're good, mic'd up, mind just sneaking around and walk us through your thought process too on your thought process to this deal as well. Because it did require a down payment. Say 95% of our deals do not. Why did you guys all feel that this was a good deal to do?
Just a quick comment first before thought process. Yeah. When we called that guy, he said, I'm going to go get an equity loan and get that money.
Right.
And part of the sit was he's self-employed.
Right.
And I said, chances are he won't get it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he went to the bank. He said, geez, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the loan because I was self-employed. Other than that, just the profit was high enough, Zach, as far as you guys hit all the points. It's nothing new there. It's just the sitting was important. The back and forth was important. They were able to say, kind of like third party, my senior partner is going to call you. Important for all you guys to know, if you're brand new, all you need to worry about is get the lead to the table and have your coach call with you. We kind of didn't say that. Like, right. This is kind of a complex deal, and we introduced Wicked Smart Finance on top of that. Just know if you're brand new, you get the lead to the table, and we're going to help you. And then you're going to hear on the recorded calls, you're going to interact with us, and you're going to do the deal with us along the way. There's no better way to learn. Some of you will go through QLS and go, okay, it's still a lot. Great. Now it's jump in the trenches. There's no better way than feet to the fire, and we got you. We got you covered through the deal. So more than just specific to that, Zach, I think that's important for the new people to know too.
Yeah.